Hi everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a custom cape for the Mezco 112 Armored Batman. I'm not really satisfied with the cape on this figure. This is one of the best figures that Mezco has given us with their 112 collective, and I really love this figure, but the only thing I never really liked was the cape. The way it looks with all the dirt and grime is great. The problem is the fact that the fabric seems to be a little thick, to a point where it just doesn't allow itself to fall down naturally like a cape would. And I think that it's way too big because it doesn't seem like, it just seems really weird the way it is. So I'm going to be showing you in this video how you're going to be going from this cape to this cape. This is a custom cape that I made, and it works so much better, and it flows so much better, and it makes it look so much nicer in terms of the flow of it. So sit back everyone and enjoy this video as I'm going to show you how to make a custom cape for the Mezco Armored Batman. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to be able to remove the original cape from the figure, and in order to do that you're going to have to look under the actual armor, and in the armor the fabric here is actually glued on to the front of this back armor. So all you do is, using a trusty little flathead screwdriver, you're going to slightly push against the cape and scrape it off. It's not any kind of super glue, it's more of a flexible silicone glue, so it'll easily scrape off. So once you scrape that off, all you have to do is gently pull it off. And you will want to do the same thing on the other side. You want to scrape it off, and once you scraped it off, you want to pull it. And it's going to be hard at first because the glue is all bunched up, and so once you pull it through, it'll be fine. And what you do is, you'll find is that you're left with the actual cape, and then you will have your figure that is capeless. Now the next step is that you're going to have to get yourself some fabric that you want to work with. Now the fabric that I'm working with is a fabric that consists of 60% polyester, 39% rayon, and 1% spandex. And it is also the color of charcoal gray. It's not black, because I wanted the cape to look a little bit more worn out instead of being all black. It'll give out like that worn out feel. And so this is a great fabric that I found at Joann's Fabrics. If you guys are interested in this fabric, I will also put this information on the description below with a link. So the next thing is that we're going to need is going to do the same thing that we did for the Taskmaster cape, if you've seen that video. Whereas I'm going to be using a cake pan right here, which is a 14-inch in diameter, and we're going to place it at the edge of the bottom of this fabric, and we're just going to put it there, and I'm going to cut across from one end to the other. I'm going to be using a rotary cutter to cut the fabric around, using the cake pan as a guide. Now the next thing you want to do is, once you got the cape cut out, is that you want to figure out the midpoint of the cape and then draw a line straight across it. The method I use doing this is I used a fabric marker, which is a white marking pen. It's one of the, and you just straightly figured out the middle point and then just do a line across from it. Using a fabric marker would help because you can easily wash it off with a damp towel, so you don't have to worry about it staying on there forever. The next step to this is using the old cape that you have here. You want to be able to create a template of the actual area which it goes behind the armor of Batman and wraps around his back. And doing this, you want to put, using a index card, you want to be able to use the middle point of the card as a guide, and you want to be able to fix it and figure out the midpoint of it all and figure this out. And then what you want to do is cut this off. Now with the index card that's been cut out as a template for the cape neck, what you want to do is you want to line up this line from the mid of the collar with the line that's on the fabric, and put it all the way to the bottom of it and line it up perfectly. And once you have that, using your pen, you want to mark it up so that you have a guide exactly where you will be using your scissors to cut out the area for the cape. Now with the collar being marked so that you know where the neckline is, you're going to use some scissors and you're just going to cut that piece off, following the line slowly. Take that off, and voila, I would have to say that you are almost 90% done. Now before we move on, I wanted to remind you guys, or let you know, the exact sizing that this custom cape should be. So from one end to this end should measure about 14.5 inches, and from this point to this point, the halfway, it should be 7.25 inches. So that's the measurement that the cape needs to be when you ended up cutting it. I forgot to mention that before anything, so I just want to make sure this is clear. Now in order to figure out a way to apply this cape, what you're going to need now is you're going to need some double-sided tape, and you're going to get little pieces of it, and we're going to attach it to the back of the armor. So I've already applied tape right here. I'm going to have another piece that I have. I'm going to apply that right over here, and then the second one's going to be, the last one's going to be right there. Now the reasoning I'm using tape is because when you want to apply this cape, you want to make sure that it's always in place in the right area where it needs to be. So once that's there, you want to grab your fabric cape, you want to stick this right in the middle where it goes, right there, right near the opening of the shoulder armor. Then you just want to apply it over it slightly so that it holds it nicely. And this is going to actually help so that we can position to make sure the cape is on correctly. Now that we have the cape taped to the armor so that it holds it in place, so that it makes it easier for us to apply this, you want to grab the end of this cape, and you want to have some handy tweezers with you, very tiny ones if you can find some. And what you want to do is, let's take off the head just to make it easier. You want to be able to hold this corner and fold it so that it looks like it's that way. See if you can get that. And then you want to insert that into the armor, and once you're able to insert it, you will see that some of it is popping in, and with your tweezers you want to grab it and you want to pull it through to a point where it's stuck and doesn't want to go anymore, because that's what the tape is for. It's holding the cape so that you don't bring it in all the way. And then we're going to do the same to the other side. Insert it into the armor. Once we have some of it insert, you can try and reach inside. So I'm hoping you can see that. And just pull it through. There we go. And because the tape is holding it, the cape did not move from back here. It just went inside, and now it's actually holding much better. And then you can just flip that a little bit more this way. And yeah, there you go. Basically, you've inserted the cape. And this is the end result of putting in the cape, the custom cape, onto the new, or the Armored Batman. As you can see, I've already gone ahead and glued it to the actual chest armor, and what I ended up doing was I used E6000 glue, which is a very flexible adhesive but very strong. And I ended up, once I had inserted this area, I ended up using some glue lightly on the bottom of this, and then using small clamps, placed it in there overnight, and it ended up adhering very well. And the end result, as you can see, is this, which is a much more stronger hold, which is great, because now I can actually use the I could also use the wired cape method that they came out with this Batman to create very interesting photography and cape movements. So as you can see, the cape looks so much nicer, and it flows so much better, and it just looks great because it now looks more like the way it should look based off of how the movie was. Now what I've also done, which I unfortunately did not show you guys, is I also tattered the bottom of this cape to give a much more worn out look to it, as it did in the film. I have also lightly painted it. I'm not sure if the camera is capturing it, but I painted it very lightly in order to give it a much more dirty look too. So it gives it that really dirty grime look. And what paint I ended up using is I used a Model Masters brown paint. I will put that information in the description below to place it onto the fabric. I tried other stuff. I tried fabric paint and other things, but what ended up happening is that it created a very thick crust on top of the fabric, and therefore it wouldn't allow it to actually fold and do this stuff as it does right now. It's just apparently the Model Master paint or some acrylic paint like that works really well because it absorbs into the fabric, but it does not keep it from being super soft and stuff. So as you can see, I've also ended up cutting a small portion right up here so that I can insert the gun and the strap that goes through here, so that the actual figure looks completely like it did in the movie. So let me just put this gun on and see how that looks. And as you can see, this is what the cape looks like now with most of his accessories on. He's got his strap that holds his gun that goes through the cape here, and he's holding the kryptonite spear. As you can see, the little area that I cut through allows the strap to go into there to the back that holds his gun. So this is actually the best thing I think I've done so far for capes, and I think this is something you guys would enjoy too if you decided to do it for yourself, which I'm hoping most of you will try. But I also wanted to mention that if anybody is interested, I know that sometimes making capes like these can be a time-consuming thing, or if not, if you don't have certain things like certain tools to make these things. I am considering making a couple of these capes because I have a lot of extra fabric from buying to make this. So I might end up making a couple of them and making them available online on my eBay account. I will be selling ones possibly in this gray and also in black, and they will be also tattered in the bottom, so that way you guys can have that already done. The only thing I might not do, or I'm not sure if I'll end up painting it, that's an option I probably think I will leave up to you guys if you want to paint them, if I end up selling these things in the near future. But if I do end up doing it, I will put a link to the bottom of this video, so that way you guys can easily look for it and see if there's anything you might like to buy. But either way, guys, I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope this is a interesting video for you guys, and hopefully it helps you guys to try and make some kind of customization to certain figures. And like this one is just, to me, it's perfect now. So yeah, if you like this video, please press the like button, subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them on the video after this video below, and I will see you guys later.